I'm Tara Joseph, looking at the week ahead in Asia with Peter Tall-Larsen, editor of Breaking Views for the region. And Peter, let's start in India. We're going to have the first big IPO test in, I think, 2 years' time in the coming weeks.
Yes, this is Bharti Infratel. I mean, we say big, it's less than $1 billion, but, you know, in these troubled markets, the bankers and the investors will take anything they can get. This is the towers that host the technology that allows cell phone networks to work. And Bharti is basically the first Indian company that's trying to spin off this tower business.
Is it going to be successful? Are people going to wade into this?
Well, I think that's the big question, really, and it opens for public subscription next week, so we'll get a first sense of whether investors, particularly retail investors, are going to line up for this.
What's your guess, though? Is it something that's going to be?
I think it should work. I mean, the Indian market has rallied a lot on the back of these reforms. Money's flowing back into India, and also this is kind of an infrastructure asset. It's a reasonably predictable cash flow, but the telecom sector has been sort of surrounded in controversy. Licenses being awarded for less than the market price, fines, scandal, corruption. So you can never be quite sure with Indian telecoms. But if it's a success, and I think it probably will get away, then you can expect other Indian telecom companies to try and follow suit.
That will be a very interesting one to watch. Over in Southeast Asia, as Christmas approaches, it's sort of been a miracle year, especially if you look at the Philippines and other countries around the region in terms of equity performance, etc. Is it looking overstretched by the end of 2012?
Well, we all know that markets tend to get, a bit carried away, and for the Philippines, which people have been in despair about for decades, to suddenly become the hot boom market, you always tend to think that the enthusiasm runs a bit ahead of reality, and there is a danger with overheating. There's a problem potentially with inflation, and there's also the big question which hangs over all of these markets, which is what happens to the funds that are flowing in when interest rates normalize, and if the US recovers, the Fed starts raising rates at some point, then do we see a reversal and a potential sort of outflow?
So watch for that. Is your prediction that we are going to see those outflows as 213 gets in?
I think it's a little too early to predict that. I think, there are lots of people who think that the Fed will keep rates, keep the the QE infinity going through 2013, possibly even through 2014. But I think the longer it carries on, the more people will be wondering about when the reversal will come. And as we see with this hot money, when it rushes in, it can rush out again very quickly as well.
Finally, a quick note on Japan. Elections coming up. Bleak data we've already seen. Another big pile of data in the upcoming week. Worrying times as we head into elections?
Well, and particularly is how this gets played politically. I mean, we know Japan's not in great shape. We know GDP is weak and potentially negative. We've seen another business confidence survey which shows that the mood is still fairly grim. Yeah, consumer confidence, GDP revisions, all of these are kind of political talking points, and we have the most interesting election we've had in Japan for many years, where the outcome going in a week and a half beforehand is still very uncertain. And so that data could influence the outcome, particularly because we've seen, even though the Abe of the LDP is ahead and the favourite to win, lots of voters are undecided, and this data and how it plays in the political debate may well influence them.
Data and politics in Japan, definitely one to watch. Peter, thanks very much.
Thank you.